Horror story. Emily and the Village of Missed Emily worked for a famous magazine in New York. Her job was to write articles that readers would enjoy, so she traveled all around the world in search of stories. This time, she was going to the UK in search of the truth. Her target was Harwich Village. Emily was driving. After leaving the busy streets of London, the weather started to change as she moved north. Dark clouds covered the sky, and soon the road was swallowed by thick, white fog. The headlights of her car barely lit a few feet ahead. On the GPS screen, one name appeared, Harwich Village. The very village she had heard mysterious stories about, tales that had been passed down for centuries. That was why she had come all the way from America. This was the subject of her article. As she entered the village, silence welcomed her. No shops were open, no children playing. Only old stone houses, broken windows, and fog curling through the empty streets. Emily began searching for an inn where she could spend the night and start interviewing. Villagers the next morning dotted the edge of the village. She found an old inn. A wooden board outside read, "The Bell Inn." As she stepped inside, the wooden floor creaked beneath her feet. Behind the counter sat an old woman, her wrinkled face and frightened eyes staring at Emily. You're from outside,
aren't you?
The woman asked in a rough voice. Yes, I'm a journalist. I've come to write about the history of this village. The old woman stared at her for a moment, then whispered, Miss, when the church bell rings at night, keep the door locked. Don't open the window either. Emily smiled politely. Don't worry, I'll be fine. But in her heart, she thought these were nothing but old scary tales. Night fell. In her room, the old clock ticked slowly as Emily wrote her notes. Suddenly, tan. The old church bell rang. Emily froze. The old woman's warning echoed in her mind. The room grew colder. She went to the window. Fog had thickened outside. The silence was eerie. At first she thought it was her imagination, until she clearly heard a whisper, Emily. Her heart pounded. She turned off the light and hid under the blanket. All night long, every little sound made her shiver. The next day, she tried talking to the villagers, but they avoided her, silent and distant, as if her presence was a burden. One old woman finally muttered, The mist swallows memories. Don't stay here too long. Emily tried to laugh it off, but deep inside, fear began to grow along with her curiosity. On the second night, when the church bell rang again, Emily gathered courage and opened the door. The cold wind and fog rushed inside. Holding a flashlight, she stepped out into the empty streets. In the fog, faint shadows moved, human-like, but transparent, as if made of smoke. Her legs trembled. One shadow slowly drifted closer and whispered in her ear, We too have the courage to step outside. Now we are only mist. Emily tried to scream, but no sound came out. She ran back to her room in terror. When she looked in the mirror, her eyes seemed blurred. The next morning, as she sat to write an email to her parents, her hands froze on the keyboard. She couldn't remember their names. One by one, her memories began to fade. Childhood games, school friends, even her favorite color gone. On the third night, when the church bell rang, Emily's feet moved on their own. She could no longer resist. The mist embraced her. Her final scream echoed. Then silenced out now. The village had gained one more whisper. When a new traveler enters Harwich Village and listens closely in the mist, they hear a faint voice calling, Emily, Emily.